Okay, so I'm just going to look at solving equations that involve the real life trig graphs. So like this one, for example. So this is something that like has a height at 4, so you go 4, and the 3 there, that's the amplitude. So it means goes up and up 3 above the 4, which is 7, and it goes down 3, so it's at 1. And that will be your amplitude. And then when we look at this too, we've got a negative sine graph. So if we're starting here, a negative sine graph, let's put the dot there, would look like this. So it starts there and goes like that and keeps going. Now the period here would be 2 pi on n. Now n is always this number in front of the t. So if we went 2 pi on n, it's 2 pi on 6. So it's 2 pi divided by pi on 6. So it's 2 pi times 6 on pi. The pi's go out and you get 12. So what you could then do is go, okay, that's 12. Halfway would be 6. This is the quickest, easiest way to do this. Halfway is 3 and halfway is 9. That's actually what your graph would look like. Okay. Now, if you were looking at what time the height equals a particular value, so let's just say equals 5, and you had to find the time. And if we were looking at that then, to get the time, the first thing we need to do is need to make h equal 5. So you go 5 equals 4 minus 3 sine pi on 6t. So effectively what we do here is where the h is in the equation, we just put 5. Your next step then would be to solve for sine. So you have to solve for sine pi on 6t and make that the subject. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the 4 away. So you get sine pi on 6t. So you get 1 equals minus 3 sine pi on 6t. And then if you divide by minus 3, sine pi on 6t equals minus 1/3. Okay, so we're trying to find the time when the height is equal to 5. So you've made 5 equal to it, okay, and then brought the 4 over and then divide by the minus 3 and you end up with this equation. Now to solve this equation, the first thing that you need to do is get the quadrants. So the quadrants come from the fact that it is sine and it's a negative because it's minus 1/3. So sine, that's all stations to Cronulla. Sine is negative in quadrant 3 and 4. So whatever we're doing, we know that when we're finding this here, it's going to be like pi plus theta and 2 pi minus theta. Notice I chose the radiant, okay? You choose radians because time is in radians. Time is also a decimal measure. Even when you have like 4 hours, 32 minutes, that still is a decimal of 4 hours and 32 out of 60. Okay, and if you press your decimal button, you'd actually get it as a decimal. So time needs to be in radians. Right, so I got the quadrants. Then I need to get the acute angle. So to get the acute angle, you go sine the minus 1 of 1 on 3. Do you notice that I do not use the minus in front of the third? I just use 1/3 because by doing that, it puts it in the first quadrant. I want the acute angle theta in that first quadrant. I want that because if I have that in the first quadrant, then I'm able to take it away from pi or 2 pi or add it to pi. Okay, so you end up with 19 degrees 28 minutes. Now that is in degrees and it needs to be in radians. You could have changed your calculator to radians by just pressing the shift mode button and then pressing 4, but sometimes we forget to change it back. So what you can actually do, if you times this by pi on 180, so you've got this answer and you times it by pi on 180, and you'll end up with 0.3398369. So press, if you look at that there, and you need to put it into memory because you're going to reuse it. Okay, so to put it into memory, you actually have a button on your calculator. So to put it into memory, you have a button on your calculator that looks like this one here, the RCL. Now on top of the RCL, there's another button that has STO. That's yellow. To get to that button, you need to press Shift. So press Shift, RCL, and that will do the store button. And then what you want to do is store it into memory. So then you press M+, and that 0.339 will go into your memory button. So it's Shift, RCL, which is the store button, M+, okay, and then that means that that is in your memory. So now if you go back to where you're actually up to in this thing up here, you've got that stored into memory, you've got the acute angle. So the next step is to go, all right, our angle, which is pi on 6t, will equal, in that quadrant there, what quadrants are we in? These ones. Pi plus 0.3398, and it will also equal 2 pi minus 0.3398. To get t by itself, plus 0.3398, you need to divide by pi on 6, or times by 6 on pi, 2 pi minus 0.398. So you do the same with that, divide by pi on 6, and then you can work out your times. So when you're putting this in and you're getting it, because you've got the thing in memory, you want to get that back. So you just do your pi, first of all, so do the pi, and then you go recall memory. So you do the pi and you go plus, recall M+, and that's all in brackets, divided by pi on 6. Okay, and I get for that one, I get 4.37255. To put into hours and minutes, press this button, for that one there. On your calculator, you'll see it right there. That's your degree minute button. So that will change it from hours, we'll change it to 4 hours and 22 minutes. Okay, and let's just look at the next one. So when I look at the next one, I get 9.6490, and then when you press your degree minute button, you get 9 hours and 39 minutes. So if you're doing this and you've got like low tide, for example, which in this question, where was low tide? Let's look at our diagram. Oh no, it starts at 4. So at that time where that's 4, if that was like, say, 2 a.m., say the initial time that it started was 2 a.m. If you want to get the time after that, you just simply add 2 plus 4 hours 22 minutes, and that will be 6:22 a.m. And because the time in the graph is the time from the initial time, and the initial time is at 2 a.m. It's set up so if you set your equation up like I have there without a phase shift, it just makes life really easy because you're starting at 0 at either low tide, high tide, or low, high, or in the middle, which are really easy numbers to start with. Okay, and then if you went 2 a.m. plus 9 hours and 39 minutes, then that's going to be 2 and 9 is 11. It's going to be 11:30 a.m. And that would be your 2 times for this to happen.